This episode is brought to you by Shippo, your one-stop solution for shipping labels, helping small businesses just like yours save up to 90% off retail rates. For a limited time, Shippo is offering listeners $25 in Shippo credit when you spend your first $25. That means shipping your first package is basically free. I will never forget those early days after launching my online shop. Our living room was filled with prints and products, and I was taping up boxes late at night, printing shipping labels manually, and paying full price from the big carriers. Let me tell you, it was exciting, but shipping was hands down the most stressful part. That's why I wish I had Shippo sooner. With Shippo, you can manage all of your orders from one dashboard, connect your stores, print labels in batches, and get real-time tracking. It is a total sanity saver. So head on over to shippo.com/goaldigger and claim your spend 25, get 25 offer today. That's Shippo, SHIPPO.com/goaldigger.
For the people who are always super resistant to implementing the body or the movement, I'm like, turn on Beyonce, turn on your favorite playlist, and just dance. Yeah. Dance it out. Just dance. And like, you'll be amazed at how like you get into it. And that is a good cardio workout.
I'm Jenna Kutcher, your host of the Goal Digger podcast. I escaped the corporate world at the age of 23 with nothing more than a $300 camera from Craigslist and a dream. Now I'm running a 7-figure online business that feels even better than it looks, all from my house in small town Minnesota with my family. Here, we value time as our currency. We mix the woo and the work, and we are in the pursuit of building businesses that give us the freedom to live lives that we love. I've always loved turning big goals into reality, and I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't just a peek behind the curtain. Come along with me and my guests as we tear the whole curtain down. Every week, we tackle practical, no-fluff marketing strategies and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Join me and my expert guests for actionable insights to help you grow your dream business with confidence. Pull up a seat and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and empowered. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. Do you ever feel like your to-do list is absolutely endless and self-care is the first thing that will always fall off of it? If you've ever told yourself, I'll rest when I finish this project, or I just need to push through, or when I have something to celebrate, I'll do it with self-care. Well, if that's you, this is the episode for you. Alisha Robertson is on a mission to help women entrepreneurs manage their capacity and make rest a daily priority. After experiencing severe burnout, she shut down her coaching business, took a full year off, and did the deep work to redefine success. Now, as the founder of Doing Everyday Well, she's giving women practical tools to build businesses that don't require sacrificing their well-being. In this episode, we're tackling how to actually schedule self-care into your daily life, what the biggest misconception is when it comes to self-care, and why rest is your most profitable business strategy. I am obsessed with this topic, and I have seen an absolute transformation in my own personal life due to some of the strategies we're talking about today. So if you are tired of glorifying the hustle and ready to start prioritizing yourself for real, Alisha and I are here for you. Alisha, welcome to the Goal Digger podcast. So many entrepreneurs struggle to take time for themselves, but I feel like self-care is such a buzzword these days. So I want to kick this off and ask you, what is the biggest misconception about self-care, especially for entrepreneurs?
I believe that is the misconception, that self-care is just a buzzword. I think the world that we kind of live in now, like self-care has been seen as this like fluffy word that always feels good. It's all about bubble baths and spa days and lounging around. And I think that that has really made a lot of entrepreneurs feel like self-care is just like this reward that we can get if we work hard enough, or it made us feel like self-care is just something that, oh, it's not that serious. You know, I can take a bubble bath anytime. And I believe that the way the world has kind of shifted and made self-care look, it's kind of made us feel like it's not a necessity when it really is. It should be a regular part of our day, a regular part of our life. And because of that big misconception that self-care isn't quote unquote that serious, or is it just a buzzword, a lot of us are suffering from the lack of it. And you probably know, Jenna, that self care is not always the pretty side. It's not always beautiful. Self care is sometimes hard. It's ugly. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I get on a therapy session and it's a rough therapy session, technically that is self care, but I cry afterwards. And that is not pretty. It's not good looking, but it's necessary for me to be the woman that I want to be, the mom, the wife, the business owner that I want to be. And I think the biggest misconception is that it's something that can just be put to the side or done at a later time, or once we finally earned it or done enough, we can make it a priority.
Yes to all of this. I feel like if self-care had a PR rep, they would be the marketers behind bath bombs and face masks. Like,
oh, absolutely.
That person needs to get paid a lot of money because how we've been sold it, and you touched on this and you said it, and I was like, yes, is that it's like a treat and it's something to be earned. And if we really unpack it, self-care, the words taking care of ourselves, needs to be a daily practice. And I think it was so powerful how you touched that, like, it isn't always the pretty parts. In fact, I would argue that most aspects of self-care aren't easily marketable, which is why we're so confused.
Yeah, because nobody wants to talk about crying after a therapy session.
Right.
That isn't pretty.
Right. I mean, nobody's showing that stuff. And that's like the ultimate self-care. So I want to know, let's speak to our listener right now, and I'm going to make some assumptions about them based on my own human experience. Perhaps they're burnt out. Perhaps they're overwhelmed. Maybe they perhaps are ending their day where they have worked every minute of the day, and yet they go down to rest their head and they feel like, what did I even accomplish? Why is this prioritization of self over all of the other areas of our lives that are pulling at us so important? And why does it need to become a priority?
Yeah. Because if you're burnt out, no matter how hard you work within your business, you're not going to get to where you ultimately want to be. And if you do, you're going to be so exhausted, so burnt out, so unwell that you're not going to be able to enjoy your success. Like, I hear these stories all the time about billionaires who are making all this money and seemingly have these like perfect lives, but they're miserable. And it's more than likely because they've worked so hard. They've built this thing, which is incredible, but they haven't taken the time out to actually take care of themselves. So once they've hit like the mountaintop of their career, it's like, I'm exhausted. I'm sick. My body is breaking down on me. My family doesn't like me. And it's like, what did I do all of this for? And so like, if you're burnt out, like, even if you are able to push through and put your best work out, which is another point, I don't believe that you are able to put out your best work if you are burnt out. Are you even going to be able to enjoy this big life that you've worked so hard to build if you're burnt out? So whatever your idea of success is, whether it's money-based, family-based, time, freedom, like, is that going to be something you can actually enjoy and feel like, oh, wow, I really have this great, well-rounded life? If you're exhausted and burnt out and can barely even form a sentence. And I've found myself in that position before, which is why I created my company, because it's like, I've reached this pinnacle of success. I have accomplished all of these things, but I'm miserable and I hate being here. And I want more than anything for entrepreneurs to realize that the money, the time, the freedom are great, but how you feel in your body, emotionally, in your mind is ultimately what's going to matter when you're 60, 70, 80, 90 years old.
I love this so much. And I can attest to everything you just said. I know some of the most successful people out there who are still seeking and searching to find what happiness is. And
Mhm.
I also think that, I've had moments, I'll never forget, like the first time I hit six figures. I remember like standing in the shower using the same herbal essence I had used the day before, thinking like, why are the angels not singing? Like, where are those
Yeah.
gold balloons that the girls on Instagram all have? Like, why is nobody clapping? And I was so burnt out. And it was like this realization of like, this goal isn't even sustainable. Heck, it's not even the right goal, right? And I think
Yeah.
so many women have done that where we've kind of put like the pinpoint in the map in the wrong destination and we haven't enjoyed the
Mhm.
journey. And so when we reach wherever it was that we were going to, we're like, is this it? Like, is this what it's
Yep.
supposed to feel like? And
Yep.
so I think this is so powerful because if I could tell entrepreneurs anything, it is to set goals that allow you to enjoy the ride because the achievement
Yes.
is one piece. And we are often the type of people that are already on to the next thing when the achievement hits. And so if you're not enjoying the ride, you are literally missing your life.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And it's crazy because I didn't come to that realization until after I had my daughter, because I was so used to hustling and going and setting another goal and setting another goal and setting another goal. And it wasn't until I had my daughter, and you know how it is with kids and newborns, everything stops.
Yes. Yes.
Everything stops for them. And I unfortunately went through a really rough stint of like postpartum depression. And while it was hard, I'm almost thankful for it because it forced me to sit with myself
Yeah.
and ask myself, like, is this the life that you want? This constantly trying to go after something else, constantly going through like the ebbs and flows of burnout and just constantly like stuck in that cycle. And
Yeah.
it forced me to sit with myself and say, like, I don't want my daughter growing up thinking this is okay. That newborn baby season, as you know, only lasts a second. I didn't want to miss any of that. And I knew that in that moment, I needed to take better care of myself if I wanted to be the ultimate idea of success, which was being a good mom,
Oh
which
my
was,
gosh.
being able to show up in my home as I wanted to be. And that life I was living before was just no longer sustainable for me
Mm.
to be able to be that.
I know firsthand what it's like to build a business from the ground up. And you know what? Having the right platform makes all of the difference. For millions of businesses, that platform is Shopify. It's the powerhouse behind brands that you know and love with the number one checkout in the world and Shop Pay, which can boost conversions by up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. Selling isn't just about having a great product, it's about making it easy for people to buy. And Shopify does just that. Whether you're selling on your website, in store, or straight from your Instagram feed, businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/goaldigger, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/goaldigger to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/goaldigger. Okay, real talk. You know when you get served an ad that makes zero sense for you? Like for weeks, I kept getting ads for these high-tech gaming chairs. Hi, I don't even game. I'm a mom. I'm not a Twitch streamer. That's what makes LinkedIn ads stand out. They actually get your message to the right people. That's why I love what they can do for business owners. LinkedIn ads gives you access to over 1 billion professionals. That's billion with a B. And you can target your ideal buyer by title, industry, skills, and even revenue. It takes the guesswork out of who's seeing this and helps you get in front of decision makers who actually are ready to take action. So instead of casting a super wide net, you can be laser focused and let your budget work smarter. LinkedIn will give you a $100 credit on your next campaign just so you can try it for yourself. Go to linkedin.com/goal. That's linkedin.com/GOAL. Terms and conditions apply. Only on LinkedIn ads. I couldn't agree more. And I don't think you need kids to have this realization, but
Oh,
for
yeah,
anyone
no.
that has walked this journey, Like, I remember when I had my second daughter, Quinn, and now I'm chasing a toddler, sustaining a newborn, trying to heal myself and do all the things. Like, that for me was when I actually really started taking my own health and my rituals and practices
Yeah.
and my own self-care so seriously, because I was like, if I don't have the energy it requires to do the things I actually want to do, none of it is going to get done. And
Yeah.
that for me was such a wake-up call of like, for so many years, I think I had this belief of like, you can either be successful in business or you can be well. Like, I don't know where my brain came up with that, but I think there was this piece of me that was just like so all in on my career, which is beautiful, right? I really love that
Mhm.
version of me, but it wasn't one that could follow me into the next stage of life. And I just remember being in this place of like breastfeeding, chasing a toddler. You don't really get downtime the second time around. And thinking about like, I have this book that I really care about and I want to launch it into the world. Well, I need energy. And in order to get energy,
Yeah.
I have to take care of myself. And
Mhm.
so it's just interesting because it shifts so many of the narratives that I think we as women specifically battle when it comes to, exercise is a punishment, not a way to
Yeah.
celebrate. And food is either a reward or something to be withheld. And it really changes the dynamic. It changes the conversation. It changes your identity with it. And it puts you in a position where like self-care can become a non-negotiable without taking away from your life, but only adding to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I got to that point where it was like, girl, you have to do this because if you don't, you're going to end up in a really dark place. And I knew that's not where I wanted to be. So, like you said, I had to shift my mindset around, yes, like doing this cardio workout is going to hurt, but you know
Mhm.
what? You're going to feel stronger. You're going to feel more like yourself. You're going to feel more alive. And I really had to shift my mindset around like, no, this needs to be a natural part of your day and not just something
Mhm.
that we use almost like I use the example of like cough syrup.
Yeah.
When you have a cold, you want to take some cough syrup, to instantly try to make yourself feel better. But we have to stop using self care as like a quick fix. It
Mhm.
has to become a regular part of your day, a regular part of your life if you want to get real results. Now, you can go do yoga and probably feel a little bit relieved for, 20 minutes or so. But if you're going to skip out on it for the next 20 days or so, you're not going to really get the full benefits of it. So you have to stop using self care as like that quick fix. And that was probably the biggest mindset shift that I had to overcome. It's like, okay, no, this needs to be just as important as eating breakfast, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, taking care of
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I think too, it's so interesting because, and for me, kids was a great magnifying glass on this, but
Yeah.
like when you look at when your time evaporates, you really notice like a lot of projects expand to the amount of time we give them, right?
Mhm.
And so whether you have, a 2-hour nap window or an 8-hour work day, a lot of times you can be shocked at what you can get done in those.
Exactly.
And I think what happens, and I know what happened for me, is like all of the different self care rituals or routines that would benefit me were always put at the bottom of my list. And we all have the bottom of the list, right? Whether it's starting your
Mhm.
email list or actually scheduling that, meet up with your friends where you feel alive again or
Yeah.
whatever that is. We all have the bottom of the list and we know what's on it.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
just really interesting to me now because I, at this stage of my life and in this stage of entrepreneurship, have more energy and more stamina than I ever had before. And I often look back and think, if I would have had these practices and these rituals and had this level of energy, what could I have done? And so it's interesting
Mhm.
how we usually put it to the bottom of the list, but when we take care of ourselves in the ways that energize us, that ground us, that bring us back into balance, you will be a better entrepreneur than if you cracked open that laptop 30 minutes sooner to get to that email, right?
Mhm. Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
So one thing I love that you talk about is you talk about taking at least 1 hour a day of rest. So for a busy entrepreneur, let's dig into this, who is like, wait, I have no spare hours. I have no spare minutes. Why do you believe in this? And what are some practical ways to make this work?
Mhm. Yeah. So going back to what you literally just said, like we have more time than what we think.
Yeah.
And when I talk to other entrepreneurs, they're like, no, but I'm a caregiver, I'm a mom, I work full time, I have my business. It's like I don't have any space in my day to take care of myself. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you do. So I created a framework called the Me Hour, which is a super simple framework that helps entrepreneurs to realistically implement time for rest and self-care into their day. And the framework looks like spending 15 minutes on your mind. So mindfulness, that could be a meditation. It could be sitting in silence. It could be spending some time just brain dumping or journaling. And then you spend 15 minutes on your body. And this does not have to look like a hardcore workout if that's not your thing. It could be going out and tending to your garden for 15 minutes or walking your dog around the block for 15 minutes. Just something that will get your body moving. For the people who are always super resistant to implementing the body or the movement, I'm like, turn on Beyonce, turn on your favorite playlist
Dance it
and
out,
just
girl.
dance.
Yeah.
Dance it out. Just dance. And like, you'll be amazed at how like you get into it. And that is a good cardio workout. Zumba doesn't exist for nothing, right? And then I say to spend 30 minutes doing something that brings you joy. I feel like for entrepreneurs, we get so wrapped up in the strategic part of our business. We are trying to create content, which is super strategic. We are trying to send out emails and follow up with potential clients that we almost forget that although we love what we do, those things are still work and business related. And I want more entrepreneurs to do things that bring them joy. So what is something that is just for you, that is not tied to a specific monetary goal or business goal, but that's just going to make you feel happy? So that could be 30 minutes of coloring. I recently got really into bullet journaling. So like that is like how I spend 30 minutes of just something that has nothing to do with anyone else, has nothing to do with work, but it just lights you up and reminds you of that creativity that is inside of you. Because we're all creative, like regardless of what you do, we all have a little bit of creativity in us. So just doing something that brings you joy. And I tell people, yes, it's an hour. And they're like, well, it's just an hour. It's not going to make a big difference. But that hour every day, compounded over time, is going to make a huge difference in your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being. You're going to feel so much better about yourself if you can just stick to this hour. And if you're still on the fence and you're like, Alisha, I still don't have an hour. I get it. I do. But it doesn't have to be one consecutive hour. If that feels like a lot to you, start out by doing 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, and then 30 minutes in the evening. And the best thing about this framework is if you wake up and you're like, I feel tight, I really need to spend more time with movement, spend more than 15 minutes on the movement section. If you are kind of feeling like you are in a brain fog, you really just need to get some things out of your head, spend more than 15 minutes on journaling or, working on that mindfulness piece. It is customizable to whatever it is that you are needing in that moment. And it can change within the day. You don't have to stick to a specific set of activities. You can use it to explore and try new things. The point is to just get into the habit of spending at least 1 hour to yourself. And as you get in the groove and you realize, oh, I like this and I have more time than I thought, expend that time to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if you're really, feeling yourself. But it's just a really simple way to make self-care and rest a priority without feeling like you are putting the rest of your responsibilities to the side in order to make it happen. I know as entrepreneurs, a lot of people that I've spoken to, and even for myself, have said that taking time for themselves makes them feel guilty because it's like, I should be spending this time doing something productive, but rest is productive. Rest is, again, it's necessary. So just getting into the habit of spending like 1 hour a day on you. And I promise you, come back and report to me. It's going to be well worth it. And you're going to notice a significant difference in your life.
I love that. And I also
Thank
think if
you.
anyone says they don't have that time, in order to prove it to me, I need to see your screen time report.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Track your time. I want to
yeah,
see it
like be
too.
like, okay, if somebody's like, I don't have an hour, I'd be like, excuse me, hand over your phone real quick. Well, let's just do a little audit because I feel like we don't even realize how much time we lose on
Hmm.
devices. And
Yep.
I also just love the advice too, because like even I remember when I was starting to get back into working out, I would tell myself like just do it for 5 minutes and you can quit if you don't want to keep doing it. And I've never quit a
Hmm.
single workout because it's like once you
Yeah.
start to get in the habit and you start to feel the difference, you won't
Hmm.
quit. But it's like the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes of any run always sucks. So first 5 minutes
Yeah.
of learning something new always sucks. And it's like if you can
Hmm.
push past that barrier of discomfort, oh my gosh, there's
Hmm.
like a whole new world waiting for
Yeah.
you. And I think
Yeah.
that's so exciting. And I love
Yeah.
to, like, I was thinking of the joy piece because I feel like that's a huge piece that we miss as entrepreneurs. And I think,
Mhm.
you know, last year I kind of called it like my year of joy, where I was like, I want to have hobbies outside of my business and I want my business to be the
Mhm.
least interesting thing about me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people listening, if somebody asked you, like, what do you do for fun? We would come up blank, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean for fun? Like, I work and I
Mhm.
take care of other people. And at the end of the day, I fall asleep because I'm exhausted. And so I love that you focus on that joy piece that's not monetized, that's not productive, because I think it can bring out like our childlike tendencies and things that we maybe bits of us that we lost along the way. And I
Yeah.
think that's really beautiful.
Yeah. I understand that everyone's lifestyle is different. So if you're like, that joy piece has to kind of intermingle with family time, okay, make
Hmm.
them do something that you enjoy doing.
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
break out
Yes.
that puzzle, break out those crayons, like do something that, yes, it may have to involve your children or your spouse or,
Yeah.
whatever, but you're still getting that time doing something that lights you up. And that's the most important piece.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I love that you said doing a puzzle. We love puzzles. I feel like doing something tactile with your hands that doesn't involve screens is such a
Yes.
beautiful reminder of like
Yes.
presence and being here now. And I feel like kids definitely bring that out. Like our dining room table, we never sit there to eat because it always has art supplies all over it. But there is something so beautiful about like slowing down and doing that. And you don't need to be a parent to do that, but maybe order some adult coloring books. There's some like
Yeah.
amazing adult coloring books out there
Yeah.
and things like that. Cause I think too, when you start to create things with your hands and with your imagination, it actually unlocks creativity in your own business in ways that you could
Yes.
not predict, which is really exciting.
Yes. You have to kind of step outside of the bubble of being an entrepreneur
Yeah.
in order to spark new ideas. Because whenever I can sit down and like color or just play, or like you said, like do something with my hands, and I finally come back to the business side, I'm like, okay, I can see this piece of content in a different way. Like, what can I do to like maybe implement a little bit of that joy into what I'm creating? So you're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, one of your key things, I think we should stay on this thought is like rest is actually a
Mhm.
productive and a profitable
Yeah.
business strategy. And so let's talk about that because we look at investments in our business in so many different ways, from the investment of time to the investment of our energy to the investment in learning. And so let's talk about that. Like rest is an investment and you will reap rewards and returns from it. Talk about it.
Yes. Yes, I absolutely believe. And if I had to stand on a mountain and only say one thing, it would be I believe that rest is your most profitable business strategy. Because if you think about it, let's just say you are exhausted, like the most exhausted you have ever been. You've worked all day, you've been up all night with a sick kiddo, you have to work in your business, you are exhausted. Take that exhaustion and then try and go and write a sales email. I guarantee you, if you are able to form a complete sentence, the email is going to be crap. Like it is not going to be good. Or take that exhaustion and then immediately try and hop onto a client call or a podcast interview. Your brain is going to be so tired and mush, you're not going to be able to produce your best work. So when we think about sales emails and funnels and webinars and things, yes, those are great, profitable business strategies. But if you're mentally, physically, emotionally not in the best place to create those things, you're not going to be putting out your best work, and likely your business is going to suffer from it. But if you can invest in your rest, invest in yourself, take good care of yourself, and then go and create these things, you are absolutely going to thrive because you're able to put out your best work. So that's why I say rest is your most profitable business strategy, because if you don't have that very important integral piece, you're not going to be able to come up with the other strategies and content and collaborations that you're going to need in order for your business to thrive. And if you are able to push through and create these things, are you really creating your best work? Are you just putting something out just for the sake of saying that you did it, just for the sake of saying that you took some time to market your business? It's not going to be good. So if you want to excel, if you want to be the type of entrepreneur, hit your level of success that you desire, you have to take good care of yourself because your work is going to suffer if not.
Yes. This episode of the Goal Digger Podcast is sponsored by Mercury, a business banking solution built for the way modern entrepreneurs actually work. Lately, I've been exploring new tools to better support my business finances. And when I started asking around, my friend and fellow entrepreneur, Hala, immediately said, Jenna, you've got to check out Mercury. She's been using it for her business and had glowing things to say. So, of course, I had to look into it. And honestly, I get the hype. With Mercury, you can track cash flow, send international payments, issue virtual cards, and even apply for capital all from one dashboard. Their credit cards come with a 1.5% cash back. And if you're working with international vendors, Mercury offers free domestic and international wires in US dollars. So if you're in that same season of figuring out what's next for your business finances, Mercury just might be the partner you've been looking for. Mercury is a technology company, not a bank. Check show notes for details. Deposit $5,000 or spend $5,000 using your Mercury credit card within the first 90 days in order to earn $250. Or do both for $500 in total rewards at mercury.com/goal. That's mercury.com/goal. I bet you didn't start your business to spend your days stressing over things like payroll. Like I've been there before, tax deadlines creeping up, wondering if I filled out something wrong. It is not fun. That's why you've got to try Gusto. Gusto is the all-in-one platform that takes care of payroll, benefits, and HR so that you can actually focus on your business. Whether you're paying W-2s or 1099s, Gusto makes it simple. You can even offer health insurance and 401k options that work for nearly any budget. Gusto automatically files and pays all of your taxes across federal, state, and local levels, so you don't have to cross your fingers and hope that you got it right. Plus, their support team is made up of confident, certified HR experts, so help is always there when you need it. Over 400,000 businesses, including mine, trust Gusto because it's just easy. You set it, forget it, and get back to doing what you love. If you've been putting off getting this part of your business figured out, Gusto's got you. Right now, they're offering 3 months free when you run your first payroll. Head to gusto.com/goaldigger to get started. That's gusto.com/goaldigger. You know those seasons of life where everything feels like it's moving a mile a minute? Yeah, I've been living in those. There was this one week where we woke up in snowy Minnesota, and by nightfall, our girls were running barefoot, playing dress up in a beachside Airbnb in Florida. We went from parkas to palm trees in under 12 hours. And let me tell you, it was a whirlwind. But what made it feel like home wasn't just the sunshine. It was the thoughtful touches waiting for us. A cozy space to land, toys for the kids, beach gear ready to go. It felt like someone had prepared it just for us. Whether you're traveling for work, chasing down a big dream, or just carving out time to rest, life pulls us away from home sometimes. And if you've got a little extra space or a second property, maybe you've wondered, could we share this with someone else? But let's be real, hosting can feel like a lot. That's where Airbnb's co-host network changes everything. You can connect with a local co-host who helps manage it all, from setting up your listing to messaging guests to handling the on-the-ground details. They can even help with design and styling. It's basically like having a partner who knows what they're doing, so you don't have to do it all yourself. With a co-host, you can open your door to guests without overextending yourself. It's hosting made simple and thoughtful. Explore what's possible and find your co-host today at airbnb.com/host. One thing I have been learning and unlearning in this process is that, like, I think there are two different types of energy when it comes to entrepreneurs. I think there's like a more masculine type of entrepreneur, and this has nothing to do with gender. It is just the different types of energy that we put out into the universe. And that masculine side is really driven by ego, and it's like that force, right? Like that, like if I know the game, I can win it type energy. And it's beautiful, right? I think a lot of entrepreneurs naturally have that energy in them, and that is why they are successful. And then I think there's the feminine energy that is more flow. It is more holistic. It is more sustainable. It is more peaceful. It is more calm. And it's interesting because I feel like, especially in the last few years, I have really started to honor that feminine side of me. I think she was hidden for a very long time. We didn't even know she was there. It made me so uncomfortable. I felt very uncomfortable in that sort of energy. And it's interesting because I think for women, especially achievers and entrepreneurs who are so tied to being efficient, like when I am efficient, I'm efficient every minute of my day. I'm thinking of how I can take the least amount of steps to get to the coffee maker. And while the coffee is brewing, I'm going to fill up the water pitcher and blah, blah, blah. And so in that unwiring of it, I have learned to love like the softer side of myself, but I've also learned that, like, as we are mothering our children or people in our lives, like, we also need to mother ourselves. And I feel like that feminine energy is that essence of like the slowdown and like the stillness and the presence. And it's funny because I think a lot of people desire that. They desire to be more present for their life. And yet they're coming at it from that like masculine energy of like, I will be more present. I'm going to create systems to be more present. And it's like, wait a minute, there's a different way to get there. Have you explored that? I know that some people love that idea. Some people don't resonate with that. But for me, it's been like this unpacking of like force and flow and like, what energy am I approaching this by?
Yeah. And I have also had to do a lot of learning and unlearning of that, because I have been an entrepreneur in some capacity for about 10 years now. So like when I first started, that really hard, like you said, like masculine energy was how you built a business. It was like, you go after it, you set a goal, you sleep when you're dead. And that, I feel like there are seasons for both almost. If you are knee deep in a launch, then sure, you set a goal, you push towards that goal by any means necessary. But outside of that, you're allowed to kind of like flow and be soft. And I think that also comes with a lot of entrepreneurs not realizing that we have a lot more control over the time and the space that we have in our business. You don't have to be on go mode every single day. Like, that is not sustainable. So when you're outside of a launch or you're outside of this big business event, allow yourself to be a little more softer. Allow yourself to kind of flow through your day. Allow yourself to kind of go at your task as you see fit, or as your energy flows to them, so that when you do have to become, be in this season of like hardcore, let's get this sprint going and like running towards the goal, you're not already exhausted going into that. So I definitely understand. I think how a lot of us were taught to be entrepreneurs, it's always go, 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 go. But like you said, we need that feminine piece kind of drawn out of us. It's like, no, relax, take your time in this season, flow, preserve your energy. So when it is go time, you can push through and then relax again. Yeah.
I mean,
But it's really hard.
we forget that like men's bodies reset every 24 hours and like
Yeah.
women's bodies are like every 28 to 33 days. Like we
Exactly.
forget that like we function differently and like we're playing by the men's
Exactly.
rules, but it's like, what if we
Yeah.
rewrite them? Because it's just so interesting to me, like unpacking that and like how we think we should be able to like outperform ourselves every day and
Mhm.
all these
Yeah.
different beliefs that I think originate from men potentially. I don't know.
Mhm.
But also
Mhm.
that we've bought into either consciously or
Yeah.
subconsciously. It's really interesting that, as we start to unpack, we can like see the areas of like, wait, I need more flexibility in
Mhm.
my life or business, or this time of the month is going to
Mhm.
be really hard for me to show up in this way. What does that look like? And so I
Mhm.
think that's amazing. What is a
Yeah.
common mistake that people make when trying to implement self-care routines and like how can they avoid it?
So many. But
Yeah.
the one that comes off the top of of mine instantly is trying to implement self-care strategies or routines that are not really serving you. So again, the wellness industry, self-care is a buzzword. There are always trends about these things going around. It's like, you need to do this mask. You need to do this type of like eating or diet. And we try all these things and we're like, why are they not working? And it's because they weren't meant to work specifically for us. We
Yeah.
have to figure out what fills our cup. And if you're not used to taking time out for yourself, that is going to take some experimentation to like figure that out. I know, for example, for myself, my friends are really into like cardio and like hit workouts and like, let's get our energy up. That does not work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I am more of a bar, a little light Pilates, yoga, meditation. That works for me. So like if you're trying to fit something into your lifestyle that your mind or your body just does not resonate with, it's not going to work for you. So, and I think that's a big reason why a lot of people in general, even outside of entrepreneurs, struggle to take time out for themselves, struggle to prioritize self-care is because they don't specifically know what that looks like for them. And it does, again, take some experimenting. It takes some trying out different things. Go get a ClassPass membership and figure out, like, use that as a way to figure out what works for you. But you have to figure out like what your body and your mind is needing and what resonates. And once you find it, it's not hard. You will understand the way my mind flows and I feel 10 times better after I meditate shows me that that is my thing. For
Mm-hmm.
you, it may be that hardcore hit workout, hour long cardio. That may be what your mind and body needs, but you have to find your thing. And once you find your thing, you'll also find that it's a lot easier to make self-care and rest a daily priority because it's like, I'm excited to journal. I'm excited to have some time to color. I'm excited to go run, 4 miles outside. So you really have to find your thing in order for you to be able to commit to it.
Yeah. I love that.
Mhm.
I think too, one of the misconceptions that's so interesting to me is like all the extra time it takes. And it's like, there are ways to do self care where it's like no extra time. Like, I
Yeah.
remember even talking to my therapist about just like a deeper desire to like get back in my own energy and body where I feel like when I'm
Mhm.
working, all the energy is going out in that way. When I'm with my kids, all the energy is going into them. And I was like, I need like ways to ground. And she's like,
Mhm.
well, do you do skincare? I was like, yeah, I use Primally Pure. I do it every day, last 7 years. And she's like, okay, so what is the environment? Like, what is the approach with these skincare? Are you bringing in that like deep desire to tick all the boxes, or are you actually slowing
Mm.
down and just noticing how
Yeah.
does this smell? How does it feel on my skin? What am I thinking about? And it's like, there are so many ways to invite in self care into the moments that you're already spending in your life if you
Mhm.
just slow down just a little,
Yeah.
just a
I
little.
used that example with someone. I'm glad you said that. I used that example with someone a few days ago when we were talking about like hydration and getting your water in. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they were like, I hate drinking water. I'm like, get your water,
Yeah.
sit down,
Yeah.
and sip slowly.
Yeah.
Like just enjoy it. Like, and recognize how it makes all of your senses feel. Like you feel the coldness, you feel refreshed, you see how your body temperature changes. Like
Mhm.
something so small that we do every single day. Like you said, just slow down and enjoy it. And I promise you,
Mhm.
it makes it a lot more attainable. And that is self-care. That
Yeah.
exactly is what self-care is.
Yeah. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Mhm.
I think this is such an important conversation. I think women
Thank
can
you.
shy away from it because our to-do lists are long indeed. But
Yes.
what would be your final piece of advice for someone listening and they're like, this sounds great, but I know I'm going to struggle to implement it because I have struggled in the past. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would definitely say to put it on your calendar, put it on your to-do list, put it at the top of
Yeah.
your to-do list, and set your boundaries around it in the same way that you have to set boundaries for meetings, that you have to set boundaries for like that deep creative time or thinking time in your business. Set those boundaries around yourself because it is easy for entrepreneurs to say, oh, it's my schedule. I don't have to do this. No, set that hard boundary around yourself and say, I am going to make this happen. Set the boundary around your family, your friends, your coworkers, whoever could possibly intervene on that time. Set those boundaries and make this time a priority in the same way you would writing that sales email, hopping on that, coaching call or whatever. Make it a priority. Put it on your calendar. Everyone has a smartphone in some capacity. Set reminders in your phone if you have to. I have a little reminder that goes off every day that tells me to take my vitamins. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
do
Not that
do
hard.
what yeah, it's not. It's not. It takes 2 seconds to set up. So like do what you need to do to protect that time for yourself. And a little encouragement. You may not get it perfectly right off the bat. Like any habit, it takes time, it takes intention, but keep trying. If you go a full week without doing it, Monday is coming up. Try it again. Like keep making it a priority and you'll slowly see how you won't even need to put it on your calendar anymore. You won't need to set all of those reminders. It'll become just a natural habit that you flow into every single day.
That is so good. And I am living proof of that as
Yeah.
somebody who put it at the bottom. It's so funny, Alicia, because like I used to be the person like the second the kids left for school, like the computer cracks open, I'm productive from
Mhm.
day one. And now I like start work 1 hour later and use that first hour of my
Yes.
day to set myself up energetically, to get in movement, to do all
Mhm.
those things. And it's crazy because one, nobody cares that I start 1 hour later. That's why I became an entrepreneur, 9 a.m., 9 to 5. All
Right.
right. But two, I am coming at it from such a different energetic state. And it
Mhm.
allows me to like ease into it where I think like when I look back at my cortisol spiking days of entrepreneurship, that was like the missing piece. So I would
Yeah.
challenge people if you have the flexibility in your life and schedule to put it first, just notice how
Mhm.
everything else feels and it'll be
Yes.
really eye-opening, I think. It
Yes.
is
Yes.
beautiful. Where can
Mhm.
everybody find you, connect with you, learn more about you, follow your work?
Yeah.
Give us all the places.
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, which is doingeverydaywell.com. That's where you could find, more about the me hour that we talked about. I have a tool called the capacity calculator, which helps you to plan out your weeks based on your capacity level so that you're not pushing yourself into burnout. And then you can follow me over on Instagram at Doing Well with Alicia. That's where I kind of share like a little behind the scenes of like how I am taking my own advice
Yes.
and
Yes.
sharing like what's working, what's not working. But yeah, you can find really all of the details around the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on the podcast today.
Thank
This was
you,
such a
Jenna, for
treat. And I
having
hope
me.
all of our listeners take action to feel well.
Yes.
It's interesting because when I think of self-care in my own life, it actually came into my life and became a part of my life when I was busier than ever before. When I had two tiny daughters that needed me, when I had a book coming out into the world, when I had a business that required being sustained, it was then that I realized if I really don't take care of myself, none of this will happen. None of this will be healthy. And so it has been such a transformative journey for me. And I hope that in today's episode, you see opportunities to add self-care into your daily life. And you begin to notice that when you prioritize it, everything else is well and it goes better. Don't put yourself last. Don't do it. It is a recipe for disaster. And so many of us have been there before. Do not go back again. I hope today's episode was a reminder that you need to work from a place of rest and not stress. If you know of anybody who needs this episode, please be a good friend and send it on over to them. And thank you again for listening to this episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. Until next time, keep on digging your biggest goals and don't forget to rest. Thanks for pulling up a seat for another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. I hope today's episode fueled you with inspiration, gave you information that you can turn into action, and realigned you with your true north in life and business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, head on over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for today's show notes, discount codes for our sponsors, freebies to fuel your results, and so much more. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a future show. We'll see you next time, Goal Diggers.